Hey guys, it's RJ. So I wanted to get on camera and make a little video with the NBA season starting. We're starting to see some preseason games get going, and some of the starting players are actually playing in those preseason games, so they're getting ready to play in the upcoming season here in December. So I wanted to make a video where I talk about some players that I'm interested in watching, and some players that I think will do pretty well, and players that I hope I do pretty well, or that I hope will do pretty well because I own some of their cards. So let's get started. So I got some cards from my collection in front of me, as you can see. Let's look at this. Jason Tatum uniformity card from 2019-2020 Contenders Optic that released this year. I like these cards, and Jason Tatum is one of my favorite players, and the Celtics are probably my favorite team. So I'm hoping this Tatum has a year. Oh, he's already had like a breakout year. It was kind of like last year, but he hasn't. I don't believe he has reached that superstar level yet, and I'm hoping that will be this year. Because if he does reach that, superstar level type player, the Celtics are definitely a championship team. But if he doesn't, the Celtics aren't, because you really need at least one superstar, if not two or three, to win an NBA championship. But I think Jason Tatum is going to have a monster year. The Celtics lost Gordon Hayward, and I think Kemba's going to start out the season injured. That's going to give more opportunity for Jason Tatum to be put in the spotlight and to make more plays, to score more buckets. I think he scored like around 24 points per game last year. I'm thinking that will increase up to like 28 or 27, and he'll still be efficient, and he'll still put up numbers for rebounds and assists and steals and blocks. So he's gonna have a MVP caliber type season, hopefully, if the Celtics do good. So that's one player that I really like. I have a lot of his rookie cards, like autos and just regular rookie cards. So if he does take that next leap, then it's good for me value wise. Some other players I really like. Markelle Fultz, another player from that 2016-17 class. Markelle was the number one pick. Tatum was the third overall pick, I believe. I think Markelle is going to have a good season this year for the Magic, and I think the Magic overall are going to have a surprising season, as they have a solid team there, with Markelle, Vucevic, Fournier, Jonathan Isaac, Aaron Gordon, and they bolstered their bench. I believe they drafted Cole Anthony, and they still have Mo Bamba. So the Magic have some talent there to work with, and if the Magic are gonna make that hump or go over that hump and be a contending team, they're gonna need one of those players to like be maybe not a superstar, but at least a star for them. Like if Markelle has a breakout year this year, he definitely has the talent to be a star player. I'm not going to say superstar yet, but he's a very talented player. And he was injured a couple of years in Philly, but he showed last year with the Magic what he can do, and it was pretty impressive from what he did last year. And he had a good preseason game in their one preseason game that they've already played. So I'm hoping he does well. I also have quite a few of his cards like this. This one's a PSA 10 base prism. So it's actually, I think I got this for under $100. So I think if he does become a star, this card is definitely like at least a couple hundred. So we'll see there. Another player I like the Hawks a lot. Of course with Trae Young, but I also like John Collins. The Hawks finally become a playoff team. A lot of those players on that team, including Collins, are going to get exposure. And they'll be more popular. I think John Collins' cards are kind of undervalued for the numbers he produces. He had a monster year last year. But, I mean, of course, he's a big man. Well, he's kind of like a hybrid type forward who can also guard centers. So I think he's really talented, and he's definitely the number 2 option there. Maybe it's like number 1 Trae Young, number 2 John Collins, and number 3 is now Bogdanovic. But I think the Hawks can make the playoffs, and they can make some noise. They can be a tough team to play against in the first round against any team. I don't think the Hawks will be a top 4 seed. I think it's going to be predictions wise, I think it'll be number 1 seed, the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie and KD coming back. And number 2 seed, I think is going to be the Celtics with Tatum taking a step forward in the right direction. And number 3 seed, who else is in the East? Giannis and the Bucks. Maybe number 3 or maybe number 2. So Celtics, Bucks 2 or 3 there, and number 4 be probably the Raptors maybe, and the Hawks will be I think they'll contend for the 6th or 7th seed. Maybe even as high as the 5th seed. They do have a lot of talent on that team, so we'll see. But if they do make the playoffs, I think John Collins' cards are gonna get a bump. And I talked about the 2006 or 17-18 class that Tatum was in. I think this is the year for that class. There's going to be one player or a couple players that are going to take steps forward and become really solid stars, or maybe even a superstar. Like, I think Jason Tatum will finally reach that superstar level. I think Markelle can be a star. De'Aaron Fox is a really good player. I guess some people would say he's already a star, but I think he'll take another big step forward there and be a solid star. Alonzo Ball, he has a good team with the Pelicans. If he takes a step forward, that team is going to be dangerous, but I think Lonzo can be a star. Of course, I talked about John Collins and the Hawks. I think Collins is already a star. And then the Hawks just need to win games and make the playoffs, and Collins will get an exposure there. Luke Kennard, I think he's a Clipper now. He's a really solid shooter. He's going to be important for the Clippers in the playoffs, so he could take a step forward. Of course, we saw Bam Adebayo take a huge step forward last year in the playoffs. He really looked like a star, so hopefully he can keep what he did and build from it and have a whole season where he's a solid contributor for that Miami Heat team, which I think will be either like a 4 or 5 seed in the East. Let's see, I don't know why I had Zach Collins in there, but of course he's just a bench player. Derek White, solid player. Jonathan Isaac. If you guys play 2K, like 2K really likes this guy on defense. He is a talented player, and I did talk about that Magic team that I think is going to be a surprise this year. So if they are to be a surprise, they need one of those players. You know, you already know what you're going to get from Nikola Vucevic. He's going to be a solid star type center for the Magic. And you already know what you're going to get from Fournier. Fournier is going to be a solid, pretty good player. Not quite a star, but a good all-around player. But there's some players there like Jonathan Isaac, Aaron Gordon, Markelle Fultz, Mo Bamba, and the rookie Cole Anthony. They have talents, and if they can put it together, they can be stars in this league. You know, Jared Allen is going to play a big part in that Nets team. That Nets team is going to win a championship. There's Donovan Mitchell. If the Jazz go anywhere, it's because Mitchell is a superstar. Lauri Markkanen. He's kind of quiet last year. He had a good rookie year, and his last couple years he's been maybe he'll have a bounce back. Dylan Brooks, the Grizzlies with John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. I like that team a lot. It's just the West is really stacked. So, and I think Dylan Brooks is a good player, but you already know he's not a star. So he kind of has like that ceiling cap, but I still like him. Got OG Anunoby for the Raptors. He has some talent. If the Raptors go anywhere, it's because of him and Pascal. And they retained Fred VanVleet, which was good for them. But Lowry is getting up there in age, so I don't think they're a championship team, but maybe they'll surprise me. The Raptors will, and OG Anunoby takes a huge step forward this year, but I don't think so. And Kyle Kuzma, he's kind of lost. I think he's still with the Lakers. I'm pretty sure he is. Well, he was last year's. He won a championship, but he's just kind of like there as a bench player. Hopefully he takes a step forward this year. Maybe becomes the starter and he puts up some solid minutes there for them. Like his rookie season was really good. A lot of people are saying he was like better than Jason Tatum his rookie year, but of course that stuff is quieted down, and Tatum's definitely the best player in this class. That's the 2017-18 class. I'm looking for a couple of those players to start to shine. Some players I like from this year's class, the 2020-21 class, like Killian Hayes for Detroit. He's a really solid player. His countryman Theo Maledon, I saw, had a really good game today. But both Theo and Killian are going to be coming off the bench this year. I think Killian is playing behind Derrick Rose there in Detroit. If the Pistons make the playoffs, we'll get to see a lot of Killian Hayes because he's going to contribute there. Some more players I like. Tyrese Halliburton leaves in the Kings. He's going to be coming off the bench behind De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. I think he's going to be a solid player to watch out for in the future. And then Aaron Nesmith for the Celtics. I think was a really good draft pick for the Celtics. I know a lot of Celtics fans wanted a center, but the centers in this year's draft were kind of except for, of course, James Wiseman. So I didn't mind the Celtics picking Nesmith, who was probably the best shooter in this draft. And I think is going to be important for the Celtics to solidify that bench because they really have no other good shooters off that bench. So they have like Marcus Smart off the bench. Carson Edwards was a good shooter in college, but he hasn't shown much so far in the league. Was it Jeff Teague is a decent shooter, but not great. Of course, the Celtics backup big men, they don't really shoot. Robert Williams isn't a shooter. Grant Williams is okay. And then who else do we have? Romeo Langford is an okay shooter, but I think he's starting the season off injured. So that's going to give more minutes to Nesmith. He's going to have an important bench role for the Celtics. So other players, Patrick Williams, talented player. People are surprised the Bulls picked him at number 4 overall, but that's because Detroit really liked him and the Bulls really liked him. I think he has a lot of talent, and the Bulls bench is pretty weak, so he's going to get a lot of minutes as a forward. He can play both the 3 spot and the 4 spot as a forward, so he's going to get minutes. We'll see if he puts them to good use. Denny Avdia, I think the Wizards are really good this year. Of course, they traded John Wall for Westbrook, and I think that's a good trade for them. So you have the shooter and Bradley Beal. Now you have the Westbrook, a guy who could completely take over a game with his skills. So I think that's going to be a really good fit. And the Wizards have a good young team there with Hachimura, Bertans, Abdia coming off the bench. They still have Thomas Bryant. They have Troy Brown Jr. And they have Ish Smith, I believe, still. So the Wizards have a solid team. I think that the Wizards are definitely a playoff team in the East, but it just depends on where they're going to fall. Hopefully they contend for like a 5th or 4th seed. That'd be good for them. But this guy is a really raw player. He didn't post a lot of EuroLeague stats, but he was really talented. Of course, he was being talked about being drafted in the top 5, but he ended up sliding to number 9. And I think he landed in a good place. He's going to be able to come off the bench, and he doesn't need to play a lot of minutes right away. But I mean, he'll still get a chance there for the Wizards. He won't be buried there. And if he does have a good rookie year, that would be great. Some other players, I think I talked about everyone else. So Anthony Edwards. So he is really raw, but he's going to get a lot of minutes there for Minnesota. So they don't have a deep bench, and he's probably gonna he's gonna start off the bench behind was it Josh Okogie and D'Angelo Russell. But Edwards will eventually become a starter. They can slide Okogie to the 3 spot and start Russell, Edwards, and Okogie. And we'll see. I think he's probably going to be Rookie of the Year, just because he's really talented and he's going to get a lot of minutes. But, I'm still holding out on Lonzo Ball becoming Rookie of the Year. I know he's going to... I think not Lonzo Ball, I said Lonzo. I mean, LaMelo Ball. But LaMelo's going to pretty much be coming off the bench for most of the year. They have Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham as guards. But they also have Gordon Hayward now as a small forward. But they could potentially play like a small lineup with Rozier, Devontae Graham as guards, Lonzo as a 3, and Gordon Hayward as a 4. Hayward played some of the 4 spot. They're the Celtics with Hayward and Tatum on the same team. So I think LaMelo, I keep saying Lonzo, but LaMelo will have a good year. I think in today's game, the Hornets played a preseason game. Lonzo had 10 rebounds and four nice assists, but he had 0 points. I think he was like 0 for 5 or something, and he chucked up some threes that didn't look great, but he definitely showed a lot of talents with the rebounding and the passing. So I'm excited to watch this guy play. I'm actually going to be watching some Hornets games because I like LaMelo. I like Gordon Hayward. So I'm a Celtics fan. I think he was injured a lot with the Celtics, but I still like him as a player. So we'll see. And I think I covered everything. So that's it, guys. I might make some more videos like this where I'm not breaking any cards. I'm just talking basketball. I'm probably going to be doing some like preseason predictions and maybe like some top 10 lists for players and for teams. We'll see what I think of to make for videos, but I'm excited. The basketball season is here now, guys. Preseason just started, and regular season games will start in like a week or two, and we'll get to watch basketball again. It's awesome. Well, peace, guys. I hope you liked the video. Let me know if there's any other types of videos you like to watch or like to see me do. But that's it. Peace.